Welcome to this video, and in this video we are basically going to attack the doors. So let's get started. So what are doors used for? Basically to restrict unauthorized access, privacy, and thereby security, right? So what if we break the door? We can get an access to the secret in the room, right? So basically, door provides us a way of authenticating whether the person is legit or not, and whether the person is allowed to come inside the room or not, right? Similarly, we have an authentication module in almost all the web application, which allows a limited user to access the set of different features. Okay, so, in case of authentication, what do we actually do is we check the user credentials and then we allow them based on their entered login credentials, whether the credentials are correct or incorrect. Okay, so but what's the backend mechanism which verifies whether the username and password is correct or not? Okay, so that's basically a database in the backend and how it works. So let's check it out. So when we enter username and password in the login request in the login form, okay, and when we hit the submit button, then an SQL query goes to the database, okay, and that's basically the flow would look like this. Okay, so this is how basically the authentication process work. So here is the user, here is the browser, and here is the server. And over here in browser we have an application open, and in backend in server we have two different servers, which is application server and the database server. Okay, so user is submitting a login form with username and a password and sending a login request to the application, and then application sends the same information to the database server with the help of SQL query. Okay, so we submit as a normal text, but application submits it to the database in the form of an SQL query. Why? Because database understands SQL language. We'll understand about SQL in the next slide. So this is how the SQL query looks like. Select star from users, where username is equals to Smith and password is equals to secret, right? So this is how the SQL query would look like. And star means like all the columns. Okay, it's basically asterisk, and it means all the columns. We want to select all the columns related to users table, where username and password is equals to Smith and secret. So we'll understand this as well. Okay, so based on this query we get a response for our entered login credentials. So there could be two cases. Case number one, if the login credentials are correct, then login successful. Case number two, if the login credentials are incorrect, then login failed. So that's how basically the authentication works. Now we'll try to understand the basics of SQL. So SQL stands for Structured Query Language, okay? And basically this is the language which database understands. Like we are humans, we can understand English, Hindi, Telugu, Tamil, Marathi, and a lot of other languages, okay? So database understands SQL language. That's Structured Query Language. Now we have few basic query to learn. The first query, which is select column name from table name. So all of the queries would look very much similar to the English statements that we make, and I'll just break down the query to make you understand. So column name and table name is a part of is basically not a syntax over here. Okay, we have to write the actual column name and the table name. So let me quickly open an Excel sheet. All right, so as we have looked upon this earlier, this we can consider this as a table. So let me rename this quickly to users, and this this could be our two different columns, username and password, okay, and these are different rows, okay, where the data is stored for different users. So username, password, okay. So what query we are now entering over here is that select column name. So basically we have two columns over here, so we can write select username from table name. What is table name? Which is users. So this would look like this. The basic query would look like this. Now if we trigger this query, select username from users, all the username will be selected, will be fetched basically. And if you want to select both the columns at the same time, we can write like this: select column name 1 comma column name 2, okay. So select username comma password from users, so both the columns will be fetched at the same time. Now if we have multiple columns like 4, 5, 6 columns, 10 columns, okay, we would not write like this, okay, we would not write like this. Instead we will select all the columns at the same time with the help of asterisk. So star is to select all the columns. Like let's say we have email, we have phone number, we have address, right? And we want all the columns at the same time. In that case, we will write, oops, okay, we will write like select star from users, okay. So this would be our query. So this is the basic query to select the set of different columns from the database for different purpose. Then we could have a select distinct. If you want to select a unique column, we could have a same column in the database. Then in that case, we would like to have a unique value, right? Then we have a where clause. So basically, we can apply a condition to the where clause in the select query. For example, select column name from table name where condition could be username is equals to Smith and password is equal to secret, right? We have just looked upon that query in this slide, this where clause, okay. We have used this where clause, and basically we are providing a condition: this username is equals to Smith and password is equals to secret. So where works like this. Then we have order by. So order by is basically to fetch the data in an ascending or descending order, okay. So uh, we can select, we can use order by to select different base columns also, which we'll be looking upon in the practical demonstration, okay. But you can understand order by is a clause, is a condition, is a query basically to fetch the data in an ascending or a descending manner. The next thing which we want to learn is logic gates, right? So I'm sure like if you are from science background, and you must have encountered logic gates in your career, okay. And if you are not, don't worry, we have to understand basic two logic gates for now, and then onwards we'll understand, we'll compile all of these things, okay. SQL query will compile logic gates, and then we'll formulate something to bypass the authentication, right? So as of now in this video we are going to bypass the authentication, which is why we call it as attacking the doors, okay. So the vulnerability which we are going to learn today is authentication bypass. So AND gate. So consider this as a circuit, okay? This as a circuit, and this is the lamp, and these are two different keys, okay? X and Y are two different keys, and Z is the lamp, and this is the electrical circuit. So according to the AND circuit, AND gate, okay, this lamp will only lit if both the switches are on, X and Y, okay. If both the switches are on, only in that case lamp will lit, it will giving me the output. So 1 means on, okay, 0 means off. So let's understand this truth table. So as per the AND circuit, AND gate, 0 0 will be always 0. Why? Because lamp like switches are not on, so that's why lamp will not lit. Then 0 1 will again be 0 because one of the switches is off. Then 1 0 is again going to be 0 because now in this case y switch is off, and when both the switches would be on, you will get the output. Okay, so this is simple. And why we call it as a truth table? Because all the conditions are true, even though we are not getting output, we are not getting our lamp lit. Okay, but still all these conditions are true conditions, and that's why we call it as a truth table. Okay. Next gate which we want to learn is OR gate. Now, as the name suggests, either or. Okay, so this is completely a reverse or an opposite of AND gate. Okay, this is a circuit, and again here is the lamp. We have two switches. Now, as the name suggests, either or. Either X should be on or Y should be on to get the output. Okay, so we can see here from the truth table, if both are 0, definitely will not get any output. But if either of any one switch is on, here Y is on, we are getting an output. Here X is on, we are getting an output. Here both are on, so definitely we'll get an output. Okay, so this is OR gate. Again, all these conditions are true conditions. All these four conditions are true conditions. So irrespective of getting an output, these conditions are true. So now we will use all of these things to formulate a string, a Boolean string, to bypass the authentication. Okay, so this I'll just quickly open a notepad to make you understand. Okay, so consider this as a login form, and this is a login button. On hitting this login button, we trigger the query. I mean, the application triggers the query to the database. Select star from users, where username is equals to Smith and password is equals to secret. Okay, so over here this AND is a logical AND. Okay, the gate which we have understood just now. Also, in place of this Smith and secret, now if we want to bypass an authentication, we might not have any username and the password with us, right? So in that case, the string which we are going to enter is 0 single quote or single quote 0 single quote is equal to single quote 0. Now what is this? Okay, what is this? So basically 0 or 0 is equals to 0. This is the true condition. Yes, as per the logic gate, this is a true condition. 0 or 0 is always going to be 0 because both the switches are off, and that's why we'll get 0. Okay, and now as this is I just want to represent this as an entire string. I'm enclosing this in single quotes, so ideally I should enclose like this. Okay, ideally I should enclose like this to represent it as a string. I'm sure you guys understand about integer and string. Okay, integer, we can consider numerics into it. Okay, numerics, string, we can consider n where care, like basically alpha numerics. So now this is a true condition. Understand how we are going to use this. We are only going to use this one. We are not going to use this front single quote and the back single quote. Okay, why? Because it would automatically come from the query itself. So I'm simply copying this, and instead of this Smith and secret, I'm injecting my Boolean query string. This is a true condition basically. Okay, it's a Boolean string. I'm injecting this Boolean string over here, which is a true condition, and now my query would look like this. Understand what the query means. We'll break down the query. So select star from users up till here the query is true. Okay, now we have a condition where username is equals to true condition. Okay, so this will become an entire true condition, and password is equals to true condition. So this is again a true condition, and the entire string of the password will again become a true condition. So tell me, what would be the output of true and true? Okay, so output of this true and true, here is the AND gate. Okay, now true you can consider as true as 1, false as 0. Okay, 1 is again yeah, so the entire condition is true over here. Over here is the condition is true and true. Okay, so basically I'm asking for 1 and 1. What will be the output? 1. So the entire query will be true. Understand, looking at this query, database will understand that the entire query is already authenticated and it does not require any further checks. So this username and this password will not go to the database for the verification process, for the authentication process, and database will simply allow us to bypass the authentication and allow the next set of features which are there after the login screen. So this is how the authentication can be bypassed, and we will quickly look at few live demonstrations also. Okay, so yeah, we can find out this different login pages. Okay, for testing out, for practicing this authentication bypass on different websites using Google Docs. Okay, so as you know Google Docs, we can find out different login pages with the help of different Google Docs. So I've used two Google Docs as of now. In title I'm simply writing welcome to admin panel, and I'll have lot of admin panels in front of me. Okay, different admin panels, because all of them will have a title called as welcome to admin panel. Okay, these blue ones are title, and the next doc which I've used is in URL login.php. So over here, I'll have login.php over here. I'll have a login.php over here. I'll have login.php. So likewise, all the login.php will be populated over here, and I have three websites opened with the same doc. These are not my websites. Okay. So step by step, we'll do the same thing. I'm just going to copy this and this. Okay, so in username and password, what you have to do is you simply have to put this particular string and press login button, and that's it. Okay, so you can see we have successfully logged into this website, and being an ethical hacker, I'm simply going to press a logout button. Okay, again this is the next website, and again okay, validation of you state Mac failed. This is strange. Okay, not a problem. It worked earlier, but somehow it's not working. Then we have this website on which, see, we are able to log in. So again, we will only press a logout button without disturbing anything over here. So let me quickly come back to the slides. You can go ahead, Google out different pages, okay, and try to do the same thing. No rocket science. Okay, this is only the logic which I have already told you, which with the help of which you can bypass, yeah, bypass the authentication. So these are different cheat sheets. Okay, like the one string which we are using, zero single quote or single quote, zero single quote is equal to single quote zero. Apart from that, all of these are true conditions and could work for you. Okay, now in a case where single quotes are blocked, you can use the fifth query. Okay, in a case where you're not allowed to enter any numerics, you can use this condition. All of these conditions are based on different logic gates, and you can use them. Okay. Now, how we can actually remediate, like how we can actually uh, fix the vulnerability. Okay. So in order to understand how to remediate this vulnerability, let me again quickly open a notepad. Now what's happening over here is we are injecting this string in username and password, and understand whatever a user is providing an input over here is directly getting consumed in the SQL query. Okay. And according to the number one rule of security, a developer should not trust user inputs. Okay. We should never trust user inputs, because user inputs could be positive and could be negative also. So whatever a user is providing an input over here should not be directly getting consumed in the query. Okay. And what's the alternate solution to it? So basically you can store it in a variable. In backend you can keep a variable like this: username, password. Obviously we can filter out the unwanted strings over here, unwanted characters over here. If we don't want single quote in the username and password, we can use a regex operation expression basically to filter out the strings. Okay. Or the JavaScript validation. Then the alternate solution to this entire fix of this authentication bypass is store whatever the user is providing an input, store it in a particular variable, and then pass the address of the variable. Instead of directly calling the value over here, pass the address of the variable. So here, with the help of ampersand, I'm simply passing the address of the variable. I'm not passing the value. Okay. And that's why we call it as a parameterized query. It's just kind of a pseudocode. Okay. We call it as a parameterized query. And with the help of parameterized query, we can we can fix the authentication bypass vulnerability. Okay. So in Java, we call it as prepared statements. In PHP, we call it as a parameterized queries. So this could be the different code as per the different language to remediate or to fix this vulnerability. Okay. Yeah. So I hope this explains well, and thank you for watching this video. See you in the next video.